because a lot of people say, Antifa, that's the real fascist. No, it's the police state who tells you that they're fighting the specter of, communism or whatever.
Right.
Which they are identifying as fascism.
And Antifa, which I totally understand and maybe even am a little sympathetic to. I just, the argument, there's a strong argument to be made that that's counterproductive.
I hear that argument, but I'm probably not quite on the same page with you.
Right. I mean, it's just like, for instance, that I do know that they saved Cornel West's life.
Yeah.
I know that happened in Charlottesville, right?
Yeah, that's according to him, yeah.
Yeah, according to him. So if they were, and also, there were some Jewish synagogues that were being surrounded, and there was lots of stuff happening, and it was Antifa that helped people. So
yeah. Also, if you look,
they do have, but you understand, but you do agree with that it is counterproductive, and it plays into the hands of the state, right?
I don't actually agree. I think that's kind of a right wing talking point.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean that's what any argument that is made online. In
because
that vein, if you pull back the the layers a little bit, you'll find it's coming from like a libertarian person, and I think that they want that argument to discourage you from supporting anti-fascism. But I had this conversation with a lot of people right after Charlottesville, and my at least end result of it. The thing that I would point to is that if you looked at the second Charlottesville that happened a year later, no one showed up. And if you ask them about it, if you ask Richard Spencer, why aren't you doing events anymore? He's like, people keep showing up and punching me. That's what he said. He said Antifa is bumming him out. So he's not doing his weird little alt-light thing anymore.
So, but, the cops always, the way that they can bring down any lefty or any demonstration or lefty movement is they infiltrate them, and then they start committing acts of violence, which gives the cover for now the government to crack down on them and screw them over.
Sure.
So that's the thing that it plays into. But I also see what you're saying. I mean, there's certainly an argument to be made. But
agent provocateur is what that's called, yeah.
Right.
There were a bunch of guys in the FBI in the 60s that was their job. And
that's their job.
And they just never came back because they were having too much fun with the hippies,
I
don't know.
Funny.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. It's a complicated issue.
It's complicated, no doubt. I mean, at some point, this country was founded on violence. I mean, at some point, people picked up guns and fought against their oppressors to found this country, right?
Yeah. I would also say, you talk about, like, one person being violent and making the entire thing look bad and that giving them a reason to oppress us. I think they were going to oppress us anyway.
That's what people say. I know. That's such a tough argument, man. Hey, they're going to do it anyway, so let's be violent. It's such a...
Well, the other thing about...
Gandhi wouldn't... Gandhi won.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, Gandhi did a lot of things.
Martin Luther King would have won had they not killed him. I mean, he won something.
I think Martin Luther King was nonviolent because he didn't have the means to be violent. There just wasn't enough manpower on his side.
Right, there's that.
I don't know. I think that the concept
we had a civil war once.
Peaceful,
we didn't do that.
Nonviolent protest is a little bougie in my opinion. I'm going to be full of hot takes. All right, this is just where I'm coming from. But it's something that's thought of in America as this like sacred, end of history thing that we reached. But I mean, that's not really true. I think it's specifically American because, if you look at the rest of the world, a lot of stuff is still going on in these places, and you don't see nonviolent protest, changing things in like France, for example.
Because
France loves to riot.
Oh, okay. Right. All right. I mean,
but
they did. I mean, again, you can't deny that the yellow vests are effective. They certainly are effective.
This is also coming from one person who is political, but is also just a comedian to another.
Right.
Like there's probably a smarter person than me that could be making these points or disproving me.
Yeah, I just see so much success with. I mean, I think the yellow vests would be successful without the violence, and who knows. But I don't think you need the violence.
Though, with protests in America. They actually use the concept of nonviolent protest against us, because
How
when you show up like during like Black Lives Matter stuff immediately surrounding Ferguson, what they would do is they would put out the orange cones and go, "You are allowed to protest us inside of these orange cones."
That is such bullshit.
And then if you cross the line, this is an act of violence. And then what's the story on the news? They crossed the line,
right?
Destroying this truce that we had made.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like, well, that's a false premise. It's a bad rhetorical, way to start the argument. That no one ever agreed that protest was a thing that exists within the orange cones. It's actually kind of defeats the purpose of protest. Protest has to leverage something against them, and property is something that they consider sacred. And so if you destroy property, that actually creates a situation where they go, this has to stop or else we're going to lose money on this thing.
So you're saying when you riot or burn things down or break windows, that actually scares them and that actually leads to change?
Well, yeah. I mean, it creates an actual leverage where nonviolent protest doesn't have leverage, and that's why it's purely symbolic.
But I think
the
leverage that you have with nonviolence is that you can shut stuff down instead of burn stuff down. You can stop capitalism, right? I think that's effective.
Well, yeah, if you go on strike, things like that,
or
I'm
people
totally
just in the streets shutting down parts of the city and stuff like that, and making it hard for capitalism to happen, and maybe a general strike, things like that.
Sure,
I'm more that way.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree. Absolutely, I think those are just those two things are on the same spectrum to me. I don't really.
Do you think they're both the equivalent of violence?
No. I mean, they both function as a way of stopping something from functioning
right.
to create leverage for your side of the argument.
Right. I just think that I mean, I hear your point, but I just think ultimately, you're actually doing the tactic that they want to do to you. They want to infiltrate you and then start committing violence in your name. And if you're just going to do it for them, I think it could be counterproductive.
Well, also violence is also a tricky word here because, like, anti-fascism.
Property damage, you don't consider violence?
No.
Okay.
No. I consider violence against a person.
Violence. Okay.
And
Antifa, what does the law think? What does the law say? Of course, I bet it says it's violence. Right?
I'm sure. I mean,
I'm not a lawyer.
The law, whatever. They're going to say whatever they're going to say. That building was a person because it was a corporation.
They say corporations
are
people. Yeah.
But if you look at like anti-fascism at these neo-Nazi rallies and stuff, the Antifa is it's a bunch of people in a black bloc. Maybe they punch a guy or something. But the neo-Nazis are out there holding guns, shooting guns at people.
I know.
The police are
the
protecting
police did
them.
Nothing.
That is
the police
violence.
did nothing. It was almost like the police wanted to have mayhem happen.
Right.
It is almost like that. No, why they would want that, I don't know. Who does that benefit? I don't know. Why did they do that? I know there was an investigation why the police handled Charlottesville so unbelievably horribly. I don't know what the result of that investigation was, but I know a lot of important people in government demanded an investigation. It's certainly suspect why the cops didn't do a damn thing when people are shooting guns right in front of them.
Well, I think it's because the police are ideologically on the same side as the fascists. They're actually the real fascists.
That's right.
So the way they view their job in that event is we're going to protect the free speech of these guys, these neo-Nazis out here, these white supremacists. Our job is to protect them from having their free speech disrupted by the evil Antifa, who are a bunch of teenagers in hoodies that are going to punch a guy or something. I don't think it's the same thing. I don't think that people are, I don't know. I don't buy, that narrative is really going to hurt. If you already thought that, then you were going to go in that direction anyway. I don't see anyone on the fence about this that really matters.
On the fence about,
I'm not sure if I consider Antifa punching a guy to be an act of violence, equivalent with the neo-Nazi literally shooting into a crowd of strangers or whatever. I mean, they killed someone at Charlottesville. I
know. All right. Well, it's been an interesting discussion. I didn't expect to have this conversation, but
yeah.
I just wanted you to tell your story. I thought that was going to be it. But that was great. Thanks, Jake. And where can people find you?
So my handle on everything is Feral Jokes, FERALJOKES.
All right, we'll have it right underneath you.
It's an anagram for my name, if you forget.
Oh, okay.
Some guy stole my handle.
Yeah.
And you can also, I'm on tour. I'll pin my tour dates to my Twitter, and I'll put them on my website, feraljokes.com. But most importantly, If any of this, sounded like something you want to listen to, if you want to listen to my show, Pod Damn America, check it out. We have a Patreon. We have bonus content. We do interviews with a lot of really funny people, a lot of really smart people. Everyone on the show is a stand-up comic. We're essentially trying to combine, our ability to broadcast and make stuff funny with with
lefty politics.
Yeah, journalism, etc. All history. We do a lot of history. One of the first things I did post Charlottesville was do a deep dive into the history of anti-fascism, which a lot of people don't realize is as old as fascism. This stuff was happening in Germany during the original Nazis. That's where all those flags and stuff come from. So check it out if you like that. Follow me online. Check out my podcast. That's
okay.
It.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
We're announcing our dates for 2019. We're going to Ventura Comedy Club, March 31st, Tempe, Arizona, Austin, Texas, Portland, Chicago, and lots more. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a list of all our dates and live shows. And please become a patron. We give you hours of bonus material. And please make sure you're subscribed. Even if you think you're subscribed, they unsubscribe people every day, and you might be one of them. Check to make sure you're subscribed, and then you have to click the bell twice so they send you a notification when we drop a video. Thanks for your support.